All right, y'all, welcome back. We're here with the Infiniti M37, and it finally happened. We knew it was coming, but my valve cover gaskets have gotten so bad, I started throwing a code, the P0300. I'm getting multiple misfires on multiple cylinders. And so, I don't know, I'll try to show it to you if I can, but you see that brown down there? That's oil dripping from the valve cover gasket. There you go. See all that? That's coming from the valve cover gasket. And you can see how kind of crusty it is along those bolts right there. That's all coming from the valve cover, so it's time to replace. Okay, first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take the intake off. We're gonna do both sides, by the way, but we're gonna start with this side. We're gonna take the intake off, bolt here. Of course, our MAF sensor. We're gonna disconnect all this, and then we're gonna take the whole intake off. So here we go. Okay, so we went ahead and took off this whole piece off right here. It was just a bunch of body clips that looked just like this. There was 3 of them, and then 1 in the middle, so 4 on each side, and the whole piece just came off. It was blocking from getting the intake out. So the intake came with this hose, the part that was connected right here, and then the whole box that was connected to your MAF sensor. And now we're gonna do the same thing to this side. Here's our intake right here. See the hoses, I showed you where that one went. And the bottom of the intake has this little piece right here that goes into the body frames. So be careful pulling those out because you don't want those to break, because that keeps your box secure. So please don't break those, just pull them straight up. Don't bend them back and forth. All right, so now we got the intakes off. We're gonna take the plenum off with the 2 throttle bodies attached to it. So we'll start with disconnecting these 2 hoses. I'll disconnect them from the valve covers so they'll stay with the plenum. Each throttle body has 2 lines there. This one has a line there, and I think there's, I think that's it. So I think these are coolant lines, so don't be surprised if some stuff comes out of them. Okay, so I got these 2 hoses connected from the valve covers, and I got these 2 connected from each throttle body, and just a little bit of coolant came out on either side. You can see there's like a little bit of a puddle right there, and that came from this one. This one, nothing came out of. Came from this one, but so now we're gonna go up here. This connects a couple of electrical connections. This vacuum line right here, and we'll see what else needs to be disconnected as we go. Okay, so we took there's 2 10mm bolts right here, and this thing pops off, and then there's 1 on this side. I don't know if you can see right there, the bolt's right there, and that gets that loose. There's a line right here that goes to either side, and they're connected to each other, so I don't think we have to take this one off, so we're gonna wait on that one. So now we're gonna take off these 12mm nut right there, and then a bolt here, 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 and here, and there may be another nut right down there. So now we're gonna take those off now, 12mm. Okay, so we got the plenum off. There was 1 more 10mm nut right there, which attaches this bracket that I had to take off. So you can see there's 3, 1, 2, and 3 bolts you have to take off. The throttle body, I did have to disconnect those. because it was attached to these brackets here and there. So took this one off, and then that one that goes to this throttle body over here. So now our plenum is off and we can start tackling the actual valve covers now. Okay, back over here on the passenger side, these are our two coolant lines from the throttle body, so we can pull these out of the way. And what I can immediately see is we're gonna unplug each of the coil packs. There's 3 of them on this side. We probably don't need to take off this fuel line right here, and here, but I tell you, we're gonna have much easier access if we do that. So we're probably gonna go ahead and do that. This bracket here looks like to be 10 millimeter. And then underneath it there, which would be this bracket, remove the wiring harness from here and here. And we'll start there, and then we'll start taking out the bolts to the valve cover gasket. So let's start there. I'll get all that done and we'll be back. All right, so I disconnected these 2 grounds that are here and underneath there on the front of the engine, and I disconnected the electrical cable right here. And next, I want to take this bracket off and this fuel line from here and see if we can move the whole fuel line over. If not, we'll have to disconnect it right here. But you have to be careful, because I think these are pressurized and they will shoot fuel out when you disconnect them. So have a rag or something over top of it. And so let's go ahead and do that now. Okay, now with all that stuff out, we have a whole lot more freedom with our wiring harness. So we can just kind of pull this back like so. That gives us a lot more room, a whole lot more room. I disconnected also a bracket up here to free up this wiring harness right here. So now, let's see, we have another wiring harness attached right here. And then it looks like just our, you can probably take this bracket off. And then all we have left is our valve cover at that point, and excuse me, our coil packs, and then our valve covers. So let's do that. All right, so got all the bolts out. There's 4 up top, there's 3 in the middle, and there's 4 along the bottom. They are not very tight at all. I don't know what the torque stick is. I'll have to look it up, but they were not tight at all, especially the bottom ones where it's leaking the most. So I don't know if that contributed or if it's just not supposed to be very tight, but they came out very easily. So let's go ahead and pop this. Let's go ahead and pop this valve cover off. You can see immediately this ring already is broken and it's hard as a rock, and the valve cover gasket itself is still in there and it's hard too. So, I mean, we already knew it needed to be replaced, but it's pretty bad. So let's go ahead and get this cleaned up and get the gasket in. Okay, so we're getting everything cleaned up. We gotta take a razor and get the corner silicone out of there like that. We're just gonna take a razor blade all along the outside, especially in the corners right here, because there's silicone right there, and we're gonna replace that silicone in each corner. Right down there. I don't know if we can see the leak better or not. See all that crud that was coming from the valve cover gasket. So let's go ahead and get everything cleaned up and get the gasket back on. All right, got everything cleaned up as best I could. So now I'm gonna go ahead and change the spark plugs while I have full access. And then we'll put the gasket on, we'll seal up the corners, and then we'll put the cover back on, and we'll do everything in reverse. Okay, got my silicone in my corners. There, and the other one, you don't need a whole lot. I'm just using the Ultra Gray, got the Fel Pro gaskets, new grommets for where the spark plugs go, and we should be good to go to put it back on. Okay, so valve cover is back on and torqued in the right pattern and torque spec. There is a pattern that you go, so make sure that you follow. I'll put it up on the screen right now. Okay, so now we're gonna put in our coil packs back in and tighten them down, and then we'll move over to the other side and start disassembling that side before we put this back together. All right, we're halfway done. Let's go on to the other side. Okay, so here we are on the driver's side now. I got my throttle body coolant lines tucked behind here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start with getting this wiring harness out of the way. So I'm gonna unplug our coil packs and I'm gonna disconnect here and here. And then we probably don't need to move this. We'll see how good that cleans up. And then we'll make a decision if we wanna move this out of the way, because it's just a bolt there and then a bracket right here, I think, and we can move all this out of the way, and I think we'll have a whole lot of room then. So let's try that. Oh, so this, let's see, this harness right here goes over here and then right here. So like I said, probably not 100% necessary, but yeah, so I'm taking the coil packs out, and so far both of them look like this. So that's definitely an issue. So good thing that we're replacing these gaskets. Okay, so I got this unplugged, unclipped here. I took off these two grounding straps. It's probably not necessary. It's probably overkill. These two grounding straps go here and here, and I just wanted to move this as far back as possible. This is still connected to the valve cover, so once I pop it up a little bit, I'll have access to unclip this, and then we can move this out of the way. Over here, I undid this clip here and unplugged the plug back there, and then there's a plug right there for your O2 sensor. It's really difficult to unclip. For some reason, I can't get it to come apart, so I don't want to break it. So I'm just gonna have to move it to the side, so I probably didn't even need to do this part. But so now I'm just gonna start taking the bolts out, just like the other side. So you can see it's pretty messy down there. So let's go ahead and take these bolts out, and we can lift up the cover, disconnect it here, and then remove the cover completely. Okay, so I got it off. I ended up taking this hose off. This is a coolant hose, so be careful if you pull it off. There's gonna be a little bit of coolant come out. I just kind of tucked it back there. Let's tuck it back there so it doesn't drip any coolant inside the engine where coolant doesn't belong. You can see my gasket, half of it's still in there and it's just breaking apart. So I had to lift the valve cover up and then kind of slide it back an inch or so I can get, and then kind of finagle it through this wiring harness, because this wiring harness is wrapped all over the place. And that's really the hardest part about this, is getting access to things. So that's what I did. Let me get this all cleaned up. There's definitely oil down in each of these. So let's get this cleaned up. I'm gonna clean up the corners, put some more silicone in there, and get this thing back. Okay, so I just pulled this spark plug out of the center hole right there. That's how bad it was leaking. Pretty bad. All right, I think we've gotten everything back together. It's about time to put the plenum back on. We've got all of our electrical connections and our grounds back on. This one goes to the MAF on this side. This one goes to the MAF on this side. And yeah, everything connected back where it was. If you don't remember where it went, then play this video backwards, I guess. Always keep track of your bolts, where they go. And so let's put the plenum back on and get the rest tidied up, and then we're done. That will be it for today. Okay, plenum's back on, throttle body's all reconnected. Make sure when you're torquing this down, you start in the middle and you work your way out. So I like to do this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and then the bolt in the back, and then the one in the front. Now it's time to put the intakes back on, and that's it. That's the last step. So let's do it. All right, everything's back together and the car is running great. So now we know that we have a job well done. See you on the next one.